Welcome everybody to Metro Space School webinar series. Today we're going to be focused on catering and keeping up with a holiday rush. Today you're going to hear from myself, Nancy Farah, and Rachel Kern, who is going to be co-hosting it. So with the holidays coming around, I think we're all wondering the same thing. Is it the perfect time for gatherings or not? And especially as the food service industry is still recovering and facing new challenges, we are seeing that catering has changed, and we really feel that a few of the changes are here to stay. So Rachel's really going to focus on some of the trends that we have seen through COVID and that we feel will stay, and also some of the concerns about the holiday rush and entering into 2022, as well as focusing on some of the products from Metro to help ease some of those concerns and that transition into what the new holiday world is going to look like for all of us. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rachel and she'll get us started.
Hey, thanks, Nancy. All right, so like Nancy said, we're going to be talking first about a few trends. And now, before we even put this together, we already had assumptions of what trends, from what we've heard have been happening in the catering industry, but we really wanted to hear from caterers themselves. So we did send out a survey to caterers to answer a few questions that we had. So we wanted to know what percentage of the list that we sent to were catering large events again. And you can see here that 42% said they're still doing a majority of smaller events, which was a trend that arose, during COVID. And then 25% said they're pretty split evenly, so doing half small events, half larger events. And then 33% said they're operating as normally. And what was interesting was that a lot of this was broken out by region. So depending on where you were within the United States, you could see some trends depending on if you were in particular states or cities, which was interesting, which makes a lot of sense though from particular mandates. Okay, and then the next question we asked was, do you feel that the small catered private event trend that did rise during COVID, do you feel that's going to stick around? And the majority here said yes. So that's something that we think we are going to see well into the future. And these were a lot of the concerns that caterers had for the upcoming holiday rush. So the main two on here were probably stock and lack of supplies, but then also short staffing. It's just affecting obviously every industry, but especially catering. Like if you do have a large event coming up, are you going to have enough staff to be able to put on the event? So, and then more concerns being another shutdown, being too busy, which was something that I thought was interesting because you have people worried about generating enough business, but then you have people worrying about being too busy with the limited amount of staff that they do have. And then just some general concerns moving into 2022. Some of them are similar to what was on the last slide. So you'll see staffing on here, supply issues and sourcing products, which is really challenging for everybody right now. Being able to actually lock in jobs and say that you can commit to them, and then keeping momentum moving into 2020. So if there were to be new mandates that were put in place, how do you keep serving customers and keep up your business? Will you have to adjust at all? And probably the main concern for everybody too is keeping staff and definitely customers safe while you are staying open. Okay, so events are picking up, but everybody is still short-staffed. So we do have a few tips and tricks here that we've heard from caterers that have been working. So the main tip here would be to try to think of doing single serve at events. So just putting together prepackaged boxes and then also prepackaged desserts and charcuterie boards. Those are huge trends that are going on right now. So you have the individual portions that are oftentimes covered, so it's a little bit more sanitary, but then if you are using these single serve items within a buffet, you don't have to have as many people manning the buffet, so that contributes to less serving staff. You may, so say you had somebody manning the meat station, the starches, the vegetables. Now you only need somebody pretty much manning like one section at a time. So then that way, they're just there to act as a mediator to kind of help with the flow of the event. And another thing that a lot of people have had a lot of success with was actually focusing and really marketing their to-go catering models. And now this is true for larger caterers, so say chains, down to even your mom and pops. So if you think of restaurants, maybe that were successful during COVID, I know particularly where we live, we had a lot of restaurants that were marketing to families. So, okay, so you're at home. A lot of people still may not feel comfortable going out. A lot of people that are having parties are keeping them smaller and having a lot of events at their home. So restaurants can really, caterers really market and play up, you know, family styled catering meals that you could order at a great value for pickup and delivery. Okay, so some of the trends that we just talked about. So we did talk about single servings, so that was already covered there. You know, having the prices increased with food, but then also maybe not even being able to get particular food has kind of helped feed this trend of having carefully curated menus. So a lot of caterers now want quality over quantity. So it's not just because you can't get the items, you know, it also makes it easier to plan menus. It limits choices and it just makes your operation be able to operate more efficiently. And two new common trends, ghost kitchens for catering orders. Everybody has been hearing about ghost kitchens right now. You know, they're very, very hot. There are particular larger caterers that have been able to utilize ghost kitchens to focus on just making catering orders, and then also food trucks. So a lot of events, whether you're having, say, a small family reunion or a larger event like a wedding, a big trend is then having a lot of food trucks show up and arrive and just kind of park, and it's almost like a carnival type atmosphere, which is can be very fun and offer a lot of good variety at events. And then probably the biggest thing and feedback that we have been getting, not just from caterers, but just everybody in the restaurant industry, was that coming out of this, there's going to be even more stringent health and safety measures. So a big focus on that. So it's very, very important when you're designing a kitchen and selecting equipment to have something that can be, you know, applicable right now for whatever you're facing, but then also in a post-COVID era. All right, so we're going to go over now a couple of products that we feel can be very helpful and where a lot of caterers have had success in using. So number one, security is a major concern. And now this image on the left here was grabbed off of Kitchen Confidential, which was on Reddit. So it's a really great channel if you wanted to follow along with a lot of people in the food service industry. But this was a really interesting picture just from a couple of days ago. It was somebody's catering manager asking, has anyone seen the clear glass catering props for the buffet? And you could see them in this picture. Actually, somebody took them and put them underneath this dresser to act as the back leg that was missing. And in the comments, you could see somebody saying, you know, I find myself in an unnecessary state of constant state of hypervigilance protecting my kitchen items. And we highlighted this because this is something that we hear constantly, that if it isn't glued down, it will walk away. So something to help you keep items contained or in their place, so when you need them, they're there, would be security cages. So here we have our mobile security unit. And now a lot of times when you think of security cages, you'll think of, oh, putting, you know, higher end items in there like seafood or liquor. But in the sense of the last picture that we were talking about, if you just have things that you're using for particular events that you don't want to go missing, it would be a good idea to put them in these security units. And on the product slides here, we are going to have QR codes. So if you have your phone on you, and you want to learn more, you can just take your phone out, open the camera app, and then scan each QR code here to learn more. All right, so another picture here from Kitchen Confidential. This is somebody prepping on top of a linen rack. And what we have highlighted there is saying, somebody saying, we've all had times when there are too many people doing prep and not enough counter space. So that's something that is just so common. So something to help with that would be our PrepMate, which is a mobile prep station that, when used, based off of a study that we've done at Penn State University, it actually increases your productivity by 20%, which is quite a lot. So you can see the rail system there. You set your cutting board on top. You could set fractional pans, full-size pans down below on the lower rails, chop up your food, slide into the, removable containers and be on your way. But not only can it be used for prep, so, you wheel it out anywhere. Maybe the back of house is filled while you're prepping, so maybe you want to wheel this to the front of the house and prep there. You could also use it as a toppings bar. So this is something that we've seen a few restaurants do. If you're doing like a tableside guacamole station, you could do that and prepare in front of your customers, or you could use it as a toppings bar at a catering event. Okay. So something else that is very, very important, obviously, is keeping food at safe temperatures and ready to serve. So Mighty Light is something that can help you do that. So we have our top load carriers and our front load carriers as well. But they are not just hand carriers. So yes, they will keep your food hot or cold for 5+ hours, but you can also serve out of our top loaders. You can use our top loaders as coolers. If you're doing a catering run for maybe a smaller event and you have prepackaged single serve items, you could stack them in one of them to transport. So again, just a really versatile product, super easy to clean and more affordable than, say, purchasing a heated cabinet for an event. All right, so still keeping food safe. If you're doing larger events, then you may want to look into banquet cabinets. So that's the image there on the left. So you have super high capacity, there's shelves there. You also have hands-free loading. So there's a kick latch down at the bottom of the door that you can use when your hands are full to load and unload pans very easily, or plates, I should say. The non-powered 4 Series is a really good cabinet for somebody that might be looking for something a little bit more cost-effective, great for catering events, and really good for transport as well. Okay, so next we have this 3 Series under counter unit. And now something smaller like this is going to be really great for your applications where your space in the back of house is more limited. So think of ghost kitchens, think of food trucks. This is going to be perfect to wheel under counter where you need heated holding. And then last but not least, we have our refrigerated option, so our R Series cabinet there. And then we have our transport options. So when you're catering an event, you're going to have a lot of loose items. So you might have your linens, you might have plates that you need to clear from stations or tables. So we have our MetroMax Q cart there pictured. So this comes with removable mats built in with microban. So those removable mats can be popped off and ran through the dishwasher, which is great for sanitization. But then also the microban keeps your unit cleaner in between cleanings and prevents bacteria from building up, which is really, really nice. And then we have our deep ledge utility cart here. So many people might be familiar with our My Cart, but think of our deep ledge utility cart to be pretty much similar, a nice polymer cart with handles, but it just has a deeper ledge there to contain items a little bit better. Okay, and then next we have our bun pan racks, which are really great, and a lot of caterers use them in a lot of different types of applications. They're super versatile. And here we also have pictured not only our full-size unit, but we have our smaller unit that sits at about 36 inches high, and it comes with a cutting board on the top. So that could be another added area to do some easy prep. All right, so now I'm going to pass it back over to Nancy, and she'll fill you in on a few of our builder tools and then what we have next.
Thanks, Rachel. Yes, as Rachel mentioned, we have some new tools that you can find on our website. If you just go to metro.com, you can find them there, or you can specifically look for our design tools as we have spelled out here in the with the actual address. So it'll give you a chance to design an actual shelving unit. We also have a special tool specifically focused on our track shelving, which can get complicated sometimes in case you need some help figuring that out, as well as see all of the different types of wall shelving we have available with the accessories to make sure you have a perfect workstation set up. Also, stay tuned. We're going to be adding a fourth component, which is going to be a room builder where you can actually go in and maximize the amount of storage you have inside either a room or even a walk-in cooler. So head to metro.com and check it out there. And also wanted to mention we have some webinars coming up. The one in January is going to be focused on prep stations and getting ready to prep your way into the new year. So if you're interested in staying in touch with the webinars we have, go to register at go.metro.com, food service webinar registration. And you can get signed up to get all of the notifications, and you can also always follow us on social media, and we will have updates as to when the next one's coming out and topics heading into 2022. So thanks for everybody tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to email anyone that you work with directly at Metro, or certainly send your message into Metro Food Service at metro.com. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you have any ideas for upcoming webinars or would like to participate. So hopefully we'll hear from you soon, and take care. Thank you, guys.